Natasha, and if you are watching this video, then you are most likely a Gemini rising, or you're trying to find out more information about someone that you may know who has Gemini rising. So being a Gemini rising, or your rising or ascendant sign, is basically trying to describe the archetype of your first house. So that's basically what a rising sign is. It's just representing the first house, or the ascendant, the rising sign of your natal chart. So what is a rising sign? The rising sign or ascendant is basically the mask that you put on to people that you encounter on a one-on-one basis. It is this first impression of what people kind of see in you when they don't actually know who you are. You can also interpret this as this is kind of the natural, the instinctive archetype that you put on in order to survive in your environment. And I find it very fascinating because your natal chart was created right when you were born, before any of these energies and interactions ever really came to play. So basically, the first house, or the rising sign, is normally ruled by Aries. So Aries represents our physical body, our personality, being very brave, warrior-like. It's just number one, it's first. It likes it that way. They're very assertive. So you're basically putting this Gemini energy in the house of Aries. So as a Gemini rising sign, you can come off to people as very curious, maybe a little bit ungrounded, as it's a mutable air sign, and you are ruled by Mercury. So the planet Mercury rules you, your personality, your physical body, who you are, your identity. It's somewhere, wherever Mercury is in your natal chart, the zodiac sign in the house that it is in, it is somehow going to kind of pull you in the direction as to who you are as a human being, or what your interests are, or kind of just kind of pulls you in that direction, or leads you in that way, wherever that is for you. That's why you have to look at your entire natal chart. So Gemini risings tend to be very good at socializing. So it's kind of the social butterfly, a little bit flirtatious, very curious about getting to know the people in their local area, local community, curious about a variety of types of people. What are they about? What are they like, not like, and seeing if that matches with who they are. Gemini might have this kind of bad reputation of being two-faced, but it's just perception, as you know, they're able to still keep their own separate identity, what they like and not like, while interacting with other people, and understanding that everyone else is different. And so when other people who interact with them, they might perceive them as very nice, or they're flirting with them. You can think of, well, it's kind of a little bit dramatic. It can stir up drama and jealousy, even though that might not be their intention, as you know, they're very sociable. So if you were to imagine like a girl, she's the hot commodity in the small community, and she's just curious about everyone in her little small community of like 50 people. And she's not afraid to kind of get to know everyone and talk to everyone to figure out who is the right match for her. And so other people, or men in the small little village, or whatever you want to describe that, though they might be like, oh my God, she's talking to me. Someone like that is talking to me, and she must like me, you know, or assume that just because she's talking to them, that she must be in love with them. And so when they find out that she's talking to someone else or this other person, that might rub them the wrong way, or they might misinterpret her intentions, or she's trying to make them jealous or whatever. And maybe she is. We don't know that. That's an individual thing, but it can kind of stir up gossip and drama and triangles and things like that. So that is all perception and interpretation, and that's basically reflecting and mirroring what is the unhealed parts of that other person who misread what was actually going on, you know. Or if they kept chasing someone who is doing that with poor intentions, you do have to question, why are you chasing someone who is kind of ill will and negative and does not have the best interest for you? Why do you keep chasing after someone like that? So that's just like a small little short story of kind of the Gemini energy. So Geminis are normally very charming, flirtatious. They know a lot, or they kind of have they're kind of in the loop. So you think of Gemini as it is our siblings, kind of close relatives, people who are in our close kind of community or area. It's short distance travel. It's everything that's about learning. So speaking, reading, writing, learning, your communication style, your learning style. It can be the peers that you grew up in elementary school and you kind of just grew up with them. They just happen to be the ones that were around you, and you didn't really form your identity quite yet, and you're kind of figuring out, what do you like, what do you don't like, what does my friend like, what do they not like, and do we actually align together to keep going on, or do you kind of branch off and distance over time, you know, things like that. So Gemini risings are kind of little bumblebees, and they're really good at connecting, like in the workplace, for instance. They're good at connecting with the different departments within that building, for example. So very good socializers and networkers, and kind of learning the ins and outs of their small area, wherever that is, whether that's a school, a church, a neighborhood, whatever it is, or religious group, anything like that, or siblings. They know a lot about their siblings, or you know, like that can be a thing too. I like to point out the personal houses in these rising sign videos, as well as the other houses. So most likely, if you are a Gemini rising, your fourth house would be ruled by Virgo. And if it is not ruled by Virgo, then you probably have some kind of duplication or interception, or the pies of your chart are not exactly equal. And so that's why you have to really look at your personal natal chart. But if there is one ruler for each house in your natal chart, and you do not have that, then most likely your fourth house was ruled by Virgo. And fourth house normally represents home, family, and childhood upbringing. So you may have found that your home life or childhood upbringing was very like OCD, perfectionist, whether that was one or both parents. It was just very precise, kind of strict, critical in some kind of way, and very busy. It's kind of like an acts of service house, and all about health and wellness, and and it's also a Mercury ruled area. So a lot of learning, whether that's literal learning from a book or school learning, or just learning about manners, learning about cleaning and keeping up with things, learning about the importance of time and being on time, all of those type of things. So very meticulous and detail oriented, perfectionist, or wanting to be perfect, that kind of quality. Usually we don't always get what we desire in our childhood upbringing, so there's going to be some kind of polar opposite happening in our 10th house. So what we did not get, or our unmet needs in our childhood upbringing, we seem to try and seek it out in our career. And so the opposite of Virgo is Pisces. So in like either your career or your public image, or how the world kind of sees you, you kind of come off to people who don't really know you from afar, or in your kind of job, that you are very spiritual, or you like to seek isolation, or like to escape or hide. You're very creative or dreamy, mysterious, and they kind of see you in that light, whether you literally have a career in that. Pisces is also like a martyr, or wants to help people. So a water sign in a career house is usually like some type of healer in some kind of way. Very wise. Pisces is very wise, as it's the 12th sign of the zodiac. So people may see you as a very wise and intelligent person. And if you are not exhibiting those traits and qualities, it can, represent other areas of Pisces, like you like to be alone, on your own, kind of away when you don't have to do your work and duties. You kind of like to be by yourself, seek solitude, escape to yourself. You like creative endeavors, or kind of going off into some kind of dream, romance. It's a very romantic kind of sign, or kind of like a spiritual type of person. Yeah. So this kind of opposition of being very nitpicky, detail oriented, and having to help people in the 4th house. You have this kind of aura in your 10th house of you don't want to be that perfectionistic. You want to kind of go with the flow. You don't want to be too detail oriented. You kind of just blend, kind of whatever. There's not strict boundaries and rules and regulations in your career. You want to be kind of more free and fluid, to balance that out. And if you got the negative side of Virgo, which can be very critical, if it's done too much, then you want, it comes off as, this criticizing. When someone is criticized a little bit too much, as if they are not good enough, it kind of creates low self-esteem in some sort of way. And so to overcome it, the person may want to become a perfectionist because they were criticized so much, as if they're not good enough, even though that might have not been the intention of what was communicated. There's like a subconscious part of that communication that was given to them, that now they have this need to be perfectionists, or they don't start things because if it's not perfect, they have a hard time starting it, or they dream of what their perfect idealized romance, partnership, dream job, whatever it is, life. They perfect it in their mind and dream about it, but that doesn't always mean that they can make it happen, as there might be like a gap, or when you're so perfectionist, there's a tendency to be afraid to try to do that, as you don't want to feel like a failure or not perfect because you've been criticized so much for not being that way. But take it as it is or how it works for you, as it's impossible for me to interpret however many viewers lives and how it actually played out for you. But there's something along the lines going on there with these energies. Most likely, if you're a Gemini rising, your seventh house of partnerships, relationships, and contracts are the opposite sign of Gemini. So that would be Sagittarius. So if you do not have a duplication or interception or anything like that, most likely your seventh house of relationships is ruled by Sagittarius. So you may be drawn to, or you click with people who are either foreign from you, they come from a different culture, they speak different languages, or of a different religion. They're just different in some sort of a way. And since you're a Gemini, you're very curious, and this is very appealing for you, as both Gemini and Sagittarius are these kind of teacher learning type of signs. So you're interested in learning a lot, or learning about things that feel foreign to you, because Gemini is more of a small community or like grade school type learning, and Sagittarius rules the opposite of like philosophy, big broad belief systems, people who basically write the textbooks, write the books, publishing, or those deep broad belief systems overall. And Gemini is a smaller version of that. So they complement each other. And at the same time, other people will see you as this Sagittarian energy, as other people see you as a Sagittarius, but Sagittarius is the seventh sign, the furthest away from yourself. So Sagittarius energy might feel far or foreign to yourself. So in order to get more in touch with this energy, you tend to gravitate towards people who have this quality in them, whether they're literally a Sagittarius or they just embody the archetype of that in some sort of way. In order for you to kind of learn, about it, or kind of, you're just more fascinated with this energy as it feels far away from yourself, the first house energy. Sagittarius is also very flighty, passionate. It's mutable fire. And as a Gemini rising, you are a mutable air sign. So air and fire creates bigger fire. So it blends very well. So they have this kind of instability quality to them, kind of chaotic, changeable, mutable. They're into one thing or one grand optimistic thing. You might be attracted to people who are very optimistic and the glass is half full, not half empty. You want this positive Jupiter energy, people who are very lucky or attract big, great things to them. And like, how do I get that? Because Gemini is smaller, in a smaller scale, and Gemini and Sagittarius is like international travel. Anything feeling foreign or far, far away. And they're very brave and they're adventurous. They're always on a travel thingy. And that is very fascinating to you as a very curious sign. So you might notice things like that, whether you just like to learn a lot from other people, or they have to somehow teach you something, whatever that is, belief system, how they live their life, how they make their money, whatever that is, or they're just so positive and optimistic, or they're very adventurous or not afraid to do something that's very, very different and foreign or super large, like taking big, bold, brave steps. And Gemini is like, oh no, I'll stay in my small community. I don't want to leave the country. That's too scary. There's something going on there, and that is going to be individual to you. And we talked about your 10th house. I like to talk about the 12th house as well, as it's kind of your subconscious mind, or how your mind kind of operates in order to make you a Gemini rising. So what comes before Gemini is Taurus. So in your mind, you are actually kind of, you think like a Taurus. You want stability. So Taurus normally represents our personal finances and our personal materialistic things that we own, and our self-worth, self-esteem. And usually the things that we own, it kind of helps give us self-esteem and self-worth, even though that's more of an external example of building self-worth, self-esteem, instead of an intrinsic way of doing that. But it relates in some sort of way, or it helps. So as a Taurus, 12th house, you are always focused on stability and your personal finances. And if you're not, then you're probably financially okay. You feel safe and stable. And now you want to think about everything pleasurable. So things that look good, feel good, smell good, pleases the senses. You want to have luxurious meals or things that taste good. You want to be pleasured in the bedroom and have a lot of fun times in there. You're very nurturing and grounded. You want emotional stability, financial stability. So this is kind of in the mindset for you. And in order to get that, whatever your life it's kind of playing out as, in order to do that, you have to kind of interact and mingle with a variety of people, or that's how you learn to survive, is that you need to build connections. How do other people live? What is the reality of their situation, or what are their problems, in order to make you feel kind of normal and sane, like you're not the only one. Or if you know more people, you have more connections to get better job opportunities, or learn how to invest better, or, oh, how does this person, how did they do it? You know, and like, oh, they tend to be like this. That's kind of why. So that makes sense. Or like, what are they doing? It doesn't make sense at all. But you're thinking of your own stability and pleasures. And food, how do you put food on the table? Or maybe if you're not feeling grounded, you might want to eat a lot or snack a lot on things that you shouldn't. That's just a Taurian trait. When they're very anxious and stressed out, they can go towards food, or overdoing it in that department, or overspending, for example, or being a shopaholic. You know, so those are your main, what I like to suggest as more of your personal main planet, not planets, your houses. I'll touch into the other houses for you. So most likely, if you're a Gemini rising, once again, if you do not have a duplication or interception or anything like that, is most likely ruled by Cancer. So Cancer, you nurture your income, basically, or you are very nurturing of your own self-worth, self-care, self-esteem. You can maybe make money off of home. So either real estate, or investing in real estate property, being a realtor of some sort, because your home and family is being put into a money house. Or if you have a lot of property, or if you have a family that you are personally proud of, that is going to help build your sense of self-worth and self-esteem. Like, I have such a good family, or I have a family or built and created a family that is really talented, really successful, or you have a bunch of properties that make you feel better about yourself, like you have extra houses that if you really needed to sell, you're like you're okay. You can pull out as an investment thing for that. You know, that could be a clue for you. Your third house is most likely ruled by Leo. So you may find that your small community or the friends that you grew up with tend to have this Leo quality in them, or the people around you are natural leaders of the heart. They have big hearts, they're natural leaders in some way, or they're very creative. They have their own unique way of expressing themselves. And they are, what do you call it? Or they're into fun stuff. So they like superficial, light-hearted play that you're surrounded with, like entertaining. You have very entertaining people around you, or you surround yourself with people who are very entertaining. Perhaps you come off this way to the close people, siblings, the people around you. You come off as this Leo leadership type person to them. So it always works both ways. It just might not be exactly one way. So that could be a thing for you. Maybe your learning style or the way you speak or write comes off as very confident, or you just naturally lead the way as if no one else really has a choice but to follow your lead. So they're a little bit more submissive, and or you attract people who are a little bit more submissive, and they're like okay with whatever, and they'll go along and follow your lead or just do whatever you kind of suggest. As you know, they don't really care to take the spotlight. So you can find that you are kind of the leader in that department, or you find that you are surrounded by people or gravitate towards people who have some kind of leadership quality, or they have a really big loving heart and very giving, or they're very unique and creative, the way that they express themselves, or they have a lot of talents, you know, if you notice these things. Your fifth house is most likely ruled by Libra, and fifth house is normally the Leo house, so it's our play house, our children, our self-expression, creativity, casual drinking, casual dating, casual sex, casual fun, those team builders, those icebreakers, things that, you know, what you tend to do when you first are trying to get to know someone who's different from you and not get too deep and psychologically into their personal lives, as that might be too inappropriate or too fast. So in that arena, it's ruled by Libra for you. So you may find that your kind of casual dating relationships, or the way you express yourself, is very Libran. So Libra is ruled by Venus. So you come off as very harmonizing, pleasant, maybe submissive a little bit, or a people pleaser. You kind of hold back and see how the other person is presenting themselves to you, and you might hold your own what do you call it, like values, or what you really think, you know, you kind of hold back first to see what this person is really about, what's really up, you know, especially as a Gemini rising, you're curious, you know, so in order to, and you probably know that not everyone is very honest and truthful. They present themselves one way. Usually it's kind of overinflated in the beginning, as normally, you know, fifth house ruled by Leo, whenever you're on a date or something, you purposely try and put on this presentation that's kind of higher or more than you would normally do on a day-to-day basis. Usually, for most people, you put on that dress that you haven't worn for 10 years and you hope that it still fits, or you dress up with a lot of makeup when normally you don't really put on a lot of makeup. You're trying to put on a show, your best face, in order for this stranger to accept you and say like, oh wow, I want to keep investing in this person, as opposed to if you came in pajamas and you're like, this is my face, you should like it or not, and if you don't like it, then you might as well give up. You know, like you're not putting on your best show or presentation. But you come off as a very Libra, like a fair, balanced, equal, compromising, like, oh, you like this? Okay, like I typically don't like that, but I'm willing to try it out or whatever, compromise, and then hopefully your date or this other person or whatever, if you are interacting with another person, they will do that back for you. So it's this kind of compromising, work together sign in your 5th house of play, dating, self-expression, casual relationships. Okay. Your 6th house is most likely ruled by Scorpio. So your 6th house is your day-to-day routine, your health, your pets, and just like your day-to-day lifestyle and habits. And Scorpio is a fixed water sign, so you tend to be more emotionally fixated on the day-to-day routine that you have or what you do on a day-to-day basis. You are very deeply and emotionally invested, whatever the cause is for that. Whether that is, you know, like you just have to kind of work like very intensely, deeply, somehow on a day-to-day basis, or whatever you do for work, as your 2nd, 6th, and 10th house usually relate to work, and they are in water signs for you if you have no duplications or anything like that. You may find that you're into psychology in some way, or things that are super deep and you want to get to the root of the problem in health. So either that's for yourself, like, oh man, I can't figure this out. I went to the doctor and they're telling me one thing, but it doesn't seem quite right, and I need to figure it out myself and dig even deeper to solve the problem. Or if you do that for your patients or clients or job, whatever you do, there's something very psychologically deep that you're trying to fixate on, or you're emotionally invested in, or you're into sexy time things on a day-to-day basis, because Scorpio rules what normally happens after marriage or after Libra. So you might be focused on the day-to-day about inheritances, other people's money, joint ventures, investments, you know, like how can you make more money in order to build more money, or how do you make big power moves. You might find that you struggle, or you just happen to get involved with a life that there are a lot of power and control issues, and it's not something that you want, but it's happening to you in some sort of way, whether that is at your job or in your personal relationships, or you know, your actual kids, if you have any, or who your kids have to deal with, and you have to have this, there's this power struggle that you have to fight for, you know, and you know, you have to dig and get to the root or the bottom of whatever is going on and figure out, like a detective, because Scorpio is almost like a detective, or going down the rabbit hole, or conspiracies, whatever it is, of like, hey, what's actually going on? Because I'm being told one thing and I'm finding out that it might not be whatever you're telling me. Like, I need to, you know, figure something out, you know, or you're into law or whatever, and you're helping your client because you're very passionate, emotional, and fixated that this person is innocent, and whatever the argument is on the other side, you don't believe that's quite right, or you need to dig deeper. That's just one scenario, or whatever, how many scenarios I put in there. Okay. Most likely, if you're Gemini rising, your 8th house is ruled by Capricorn. So 8th house is normally that Scorpio energy house, and putting Capricorn in here, excuse me, whoever you kind of join forces with in some sort of way, or is going to be kind of working your working your way up. Capricorn is it's like the builder. There's a lot of hardships, setbacks, delays, karma, lessons, burdens. And so it could be like your investments or your in-laws or the person that you invested with, whether you're still with them or divorced. Like, you have to really work hard to make this work, or to figure it out, or you get setbacks with your money or their money in some sort of way. And so you're always trying to climb up, but in order to climb up, you go back down, kind of like hopefully a positive stock market investment. So it does go up and down a little bit, but you still want it to go up. That is kind of the Capricorn thing, like trying to build up in hierarchy. Whether you're intentionally trying to do that with whoever you choose to be with, or you happen to be with someone that was not the intention at all, and now you're getting all these random delays, surprises that kind of set you back in this department of joint resources, joint finances, sex, your in-laws, or your in-laws may have this kind of Capricorn energy to them. If you are married, they have this kind of, they want to build an empire kind of quality, or they go through a lot of setbacks and delays, or this department can come off very cold. Capricorn is a kind of cold sign, or stoic, or that's their presentation, regardless if they are cold-hearted or not. Usually they're very soft little softies on the inside, but they've been beaten up so much over time that they come off as very cold and stoic, as the world has not been the nicest to them. So you might find that in the bedroom, your partner is kind of cold, or they're like a bachelorette, and they're just kind of using you in some way in order to kind of keep you around because you're financially stable, or you have a lot of money, or to work their way to the top by just keeping you stuck to them, or vice versa. You can be the one trying to scope someone out like that, so that can be a thing for you. It's just putting this Capricorn energy in the house of the 8th house of death, rebirth, transformations, the sex, skeletons in the closet, deep psychology, things that are hidden, and joint finances, death, taxes, inheritances, things like that. Okay. Your 9th house is most likely in Aquarius. So 9th house is normally ruled by Sagittarius. So it is your belief systems. It can be actual religion, philosophy, PhD type stuff, or higher education, your greater belief system. So it doesn't even have to be related to literal school or literal religions or anything like that. It's more of like, how does your brain work? Like your day-to-day philosophy and belief systems is going to come off as this Aquarian type person. So Aquarius is kind of rebellious. They don't like to follow tradition or whatever is conventional during that time period. Then they kind of they tend to branch off and don't really side with that. And very futuristic. So, and it's also about everyone. So you might not believe in just one religion as the truth, or one way of doing things is the right way of doing things and you should just stick with it. It's kind of like a little bit for everyone. It is a fixed air sign, but it's also, unconventional. So whatever is more futuristic, or like a futuristic belief system, or anything that deals with humanity, or everyone needs to win, you have faith and belief in everyone needs to go for their own unique individuals and dreams, even though it might not serve you. You believe in that, most likely in some sort of way. And then your 11th house is most likely ruled by Aries. So 11th house is normally your Aquarius house, or your house of friendships, networking, technology, in kind of like greater, bigger community. So you may find that you attract a lot of friends who have this Aries quality to them, or you come off that way to your friends. So this kind of one-sidedness in some sort of degree, or they're very brave, bold, have no fear. They might be more entrepreneurial or like to start businesses. They're very passionate, fun, a little bit immature, playful, warrior-like, or they've been through a lot, but they keep coming back up, or your friends see you as someone like that, like a warrior, and no matter how many times you've fallen down, you always get back up, because Aries kind of represents like the toddler who's starting to walk for the first time, and they fall many, many times, but they seem to, that doesn't hold them back, and they're like, oh my God, I fell one time. I'm never going to even try to walk ever again. Babies they keep trying. They'll keep crawling, try and climb on everything, even if they hit their head on the coffee table corner and cry, and then they're going to forget, because Aries kind of recovers pretty fast, or they get over the boo-boos and the hurts pretty fast, and they get back up and keep moving. So either you come off that way to your friends, or you attract a lot of friends who have these type of traits within them, because everything is like a mirror or a reflector of yourself. They're kind of trying to mirror something about you, as well as that's how, that's something about them as well, but a little bit different, and that's how we kind of, if we're all healed in some way or more aware of ourselves, we can all kind of rise up, hopefully. That's kind of the general idea, as all human beings are going through something, regardless of what that looks like on the outside, or they've been through something in the past, and if they've had a pristine, fun, perfect little life, most likely it's going to happen eventually. So, always be compassionate about other people. But I hope you enjoyed your Gemini rising interpretation. If you want to book a personal birth chart reading, you can go to my website, which is in the description box below. You can copy and paste it or whatever. It's www.natashascreativewellness.com. I have merchandise in there. If you go to the merchandise tab, you can find journals. If you like to write things out in your mind or whatever, it's from old paintings that I've done in the past. If you like to support, please, and please like and subscribe, or share this video to anyone that you may find that this can be helpful, as it's like deeper, it's a deeper way of healing and self-reflecting in a creative way. So check out the playlist down below for more videos, and hopefully I'll see you next time. And if you want to check out my fitness channel, that's under Natasha Greenwood, or fit_Tasha Flex if you want to check that side out. Okay, bye.